Hey everybody, it's Ann Beebe. Today is Friday, April 24th, 2020. I'm Barb Hammer. This is take two. I actually made a video, but the sound didn't record. So I had to test. I've had to go back to some old software that I used to use last year until it started causing me problems. And I switched to software that was working, and then suddenly, I think it was because of a computer update, the software wasn't working anymore. So I've had to go back to this old software. It's fine. I just can't. It doesn't record the audio if I play a video, so I'm just trying to avoid playing any videos with sound anyway. So this is take two. So anyway, I'm talking again about the mass casualty event. In Nova Scotia, the Rampage by Gabriel Wortman, allegedly. But he's a dead patsy. Conveniently, he's dead. It was reported that he was arrested, but then it was reported, oh, he died. He was shot. All very convenient. Anyway, so this is a follow-up, and my friend Scott Creighton on the Church Dog 42 channel has done a couple of videos about this event too, and he has a very keen eye, and he has watched a lot of these types of mass casualty events, shootings, mass shootings. They are Gladio false flag attacks, and so they are not what they seem. Certainly not what the mainstream media claims. And Gladio is in reference to Operation Gladio in Europe, when the NATO CIA recruited Nazis, fascists at the end of World War II to be these secret armies, stay-behind armies in the event of Soviet invasion. But what they ended up doing is carrying out terrorist attacks to keep people in fear, strategy of tension, and to smear the left. So they were blamed on the left. Anyway, this is a strategy of tension. So I call this a false flag within a false flag, because the virus outbreak is a false flag. And there are lots of parallels to 9/11 and the anthrax attacks in 2001. And it's to smear China. So there's a new Cold War against China. And it's also to lock everybody down in the West, control people, keep them in fear of the invisible enemy. It used to be the war of terror, war on terror, war of terror. This is another war of terror. And this shooting in Nova Scotia is another terrorist attack against us all. And I've started to call Nova Scotia Rona Scotia in the midst of this outbreak. So over the weekend, it was late Saturday, the 18th, April 18th, into the morning of April 19th, that this rampage took place. But the story, I could tell within a day or two. I started to look at it, I think late Sunday, I guess, and into Monday, and I could tell. I don't really have a key eye for these kind of events, but I could tell the shooting, there were lots of problems with this story. And the changing of vehicles and the burned out vehicles, and the fact that he was allowed to run around with an RCMP uniform and have these RCMP police cruisers, Royal Canadian Mounted Police cruisers. Very bizarre. So I think eventually it wasn't clear what the motive was. And then they were saying, oh, he was very jealous and he had a girlfriend and had a new boyfriend or something, or an ex-wife. I don't know. It was about a girlfriend, wife, ex-wife, I don't know, partner. Um, and then, they had a list of victims, and I didn't see, okay, I said, okay, where's the girlfriend? Where's the girlfriend and boyfriend in the list of victims? That's the thing that really bothered me. So the latest weird thing, and Scott started talking about, this is what got him, is that there was this TV episode, FBI, that's what I have on the screen here, FBI Most Wanted, just a few days before this took place. And it was sort of the same sort of scenario. And it was even a character named Gabriel, and he is dressed as a police officer, and he goes on this rampage, murderous rampage, just like Gabriel Wortman supposedly did. The dead Patsy, how convenient. Dead Patsy burned out homes, burned out cars, destroyed the evidence. So apparently Gabriel Wortman also had a kill list, and this kill list was found in his home, I guess, the burned out home. How did that happen? Very bizarre. So the girlfriend supposedly survived. She supposedly survived. And I don't know, it sounds like, I don't know, the story is, I think she was restrained or something, and she got away or something. And then in the morning she told the police, oh yeah, Gabriel's dressed like a RCMP officer and driving around in an RCMP cruiser. I don't know. Very strange. So it's very strange that they only sent out an alert on Twitter and Facebook late Saturday evening and told people to lock their doors and stay at home. And there was no word until the following morning. And they claim that supposedly after the girlfriend had told them what was going on. And then they warned people that he was in a police uniform driving this cruiser. Very strange. I don't know. There's so many weird things here. So there's this timeline. So it's just the usual timeline. And then eventually he was shot and killed at this gas station, truck stop gas station where there's a restaurant or something. Normally be very busy Sunday morning, but because of the lockdown, shut down, the restaurant wasn't open for people to eat there. Yeah, so nobody could get close to where he was shot. He was found lying on the ground. And I have an image. This is a Facebook group that I joined just to see. They have it's very carefully controlled so that, it's very pro RCMP. You're not supposed to say anything about the RCMP. Those are the heroes. So there is a hero, a martyr, a young woman officer who was killed, and they will show her image. So this is an image supposedly of Gabriel Wortman on the ground. I've seen a bigger image where you can see the officers nearby, but this is supposedly him shot on the ground at the gas station. What else? So there's this map that they posted the link to in that Facebook group so this is where it started, Porter Peak, and then he supposedly drove up north here, came back, and he came through here, ended up in I forget, Enfield, and then his dental clinic or clinics is in this area, Dartmouth, Halifax. That's the big metropolitan area in Nova Scotia. So the interesting thing about when he went through Onslow, I think it was, there was a shooting incident. So there were RCMP officers shooting at a fire hall where there were people taking shelter from the gunman. So a couple of officers shooting, and they shot at the fire hall, and there are bullet holes in the fire hall. Very bizarre why they were doing that. It makes me wonder if I don't know anything about the victims. I'm assuming there were victims. Maybe the numbers were inflated. Maybe some of them aren't real victims. I don't know. Just to make it, this is the biggest mass casualty event in modern Canadian history, mass shooting event. So I don't know if they inflated the numbers to get more attention. I don't know. Very bizarre. And it makes me wonder if some of the people were shot by RCMP who were supposedly going looking for him. I don't know. It's very hard to tell what was going on. Let's see. Yeah. So this is the same story. This evacuation center or something. People were hiding out in this fire hall, and the RCMP were shooting. What else? So yeah, the TV show, very strange. Everything's very strange here. What else? I've had to redo this video, so that's why I'm kind of thrown off. I just want to say the RCMP, they don't have a great reputation at all in Canada. There, unfortunately, a lot of people, they still have, the RCMP officers themselves, individual officers, they're doing the best they can. I'm not trying to smear the RCMP, the rank and file. It's the culture of the RCMP. I guess the management, the culture, it's not good. Ask Indigenous people in Canada, they're not crazy. Minorities. I've had bad experiences with the RCMP. My husband is afraid of police in general. I learned that when we went back to my hometown in Virginia and he saw cop cars at a 7-Eleven, and I wasn't alarmed, but he was. And that's because he's had a bad experience with them. RCMP, I have had two. I had one following me. I was driving around once in a small town I was living in, Northwest British Columbia, and this RCMP car was following me. And I turned, I was just turning different places just to see if he was still following me, and he was still following me for sure. And my car is broken down before, and they don't help. They just harass you and yell at you. And I get really sarcastic, and I thank them for all their help when they do stuff like that. I had another time they pulled me over for going through a yellow light just as it turned yellow, and I had a car right behind me, and I told them I couldn't, stop the car without getting rear-ended. And I still got a warning. They're just, not always, but they're often very arrogant, and it's just the culture of the organization. And in Canada, the RCMP, they're like the FBI in the US, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but they are also act as like state cops, local police force, mainly in the West, but in small towns, rural areas, that's the police. If local towns don't have enough money to have their own police force, then they will ask the RCMP to be the local police. Not a great reputation. This is a page of some of the scandals, and they are known for suppressing like labor disputes, strikes, so they act in the interests of the ruling class. That's the RCMP. And I'm convinced they were involved in the October crisis, which I've talked about before. That was another false flag attack, and it was intended to smear the Quebec separatist movement, which is populist and leftist and opposes the English business community, the history of the Anglo business community in Canada. And so RCMP, another thing. What else? A very interesting case a few years ago. This couple, and this happened right where I live. So this couple, the RCMP tried to entrap them, set them up, tried to get them to carry out a bombing at the BC legislature in Victoria, the capital, on Vancouver Island. And this was a couple that was struggling. They had drug problems and kind of lost, and So RCMP, they were trying to set them up. They became converts to Islam. It was like a classic Gladio B event, smearing Islam. And so they became Muslim converts, and this is them. And fortunate, they were very lucky. They got off. It came out in the case that they were. It was entrapment. They were set up to plant this bomb, or I don't know if it was a real bomb or not. And RCMP, this is what the FBI does in the U.S. They will set somebody up, a patsy, for a terrorist attack, and then their FBI, they're heroes because they've thwarted the terrorist attack. Same thing. RCMP does the same thing in Canada. That's a very interesting case. So this is what the RCMP does. So the agenda of this shooting in what I call Rona Scotia is stricter gun laws again. This is what they're talking about. Justin Trudeau, who was reelected last year, and apparently he was promising stricter gun control laws in Canada. So this is the talk. And the gun control laws are already very strict, but this is always about gun control. But what's weird is the information about where oops, that's not it. The information about whether or not Gabriel Wortman's guns were legally registered or not, it took a while for that information to come out, and then they said, "Oh no, he wasn't allowed to own guns legally. He had been convicted of an assault apparently back in the early 2000s or something." And it wasn't clear to me whether it was a permanent ban or temporary. I don't know, but supposedly, no, he was not. Whatever firearms he had, he wasn't legally allowed to have. I don't know. And one of the firearms might have come from the officer that he killed. I don't know. Very fuzzy, the information about that. But the stricter gun laws is kind of bizarre because I've seen people saying, yeah, we need stricter gun laws. And I found this article where they're already banned. So I don't know what they're talking about. This is from 3 months ago. Canada is officially banning military-style rifles and assault weapons. And this is what they're harping on about now. And then there's the red flag laws. So that means, if you're considered mentally unstable or something, basically I would be considered mentally unstable just for questioning things. If you're a conspiracy theorists are crazy. That's the label crazy. Yeah. So red flag laws. I think the red flag laws are generally to suppress dissent. And that's another thing that they've been talking a lot about is, so they don't like it that people are questioning what's going on with the virus, the outbreak, so they want to, Canadian government wants to open a new law to fight pandemic misinformation. So you're not supposed to question anything about what they're doing, shutting everything down, putting most people out of work, basically, except for the essentials, not supposed to question any of this. So they want new laws to suppress dissent again. And this goes back to last year in Canada for the election. They were worried about foreign interference, just like they said, the claim was that Donald Trump was elected because the Russians meddled in the elections in the U.S. So the same sort of thing. It's just crazy. Anyway, so Scott Creighton and I are going to, I think, talk this weekend, have a video chat, and sort of talk about this shooting and all the weird stuff. I mean, if I can see there's a problem with this whole story, then there's a problem. Scott's been watching these for some time, and he's just shaking his head too. It's crazy. Anyway, I think that's all. Oh, one more thing. Yeah. So on the right, they're harping on about, Justin Trudeau, the leftist. I forgot. Stefan Molyneux, he did this video, and I thought he was going to actually say something, but it's just sort of the conventional narrative. But in the end, he says, "Oh, the leftists, Justin Trudeau, they're trying to take guns away." Well, he's a disinformation asset. This Stefan Molyneux, he's just, I mean, he's just disgusting. He's very racist things he says, and he's just a pompous ass as far as I'm concerned. So, and it's part of this strategy of tension, the left right, even though he's just a corporate centrist, just like Justin Trudeau is basically, just a different brand of it, you know. Anyway, so I think that's it. I'm sorry, but I had to redo this video, so it's hard. It's hard doing that. So I'll give you the links to all this information. It's crazy stuff, but the RCMP, they will entrap people, they'll set people up, and Gabriel Wortman is a dead patsy. So something strange happened there, but he's being smeared as a monster. The other thing is I think they're trying to claim that he was cheating people financially. So, it first came out, he didn't seem like such a bad guy. He seemed like a decent guy. And now they're just kind of piling on all the negative information they can possibly find about him or invent about him. Anyway, so RCMP, this is a false flag attack for sure. It's crazy. 16 crime scenes. It's hard to make any sense at all of this. Burned out vehicles, changing vehicles, burned out houses, but a list, supposedly a kill list, survived the fire. I don't know. It's nuts. Doesn't make any sense. The girlfriend story doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for your patience. And I hope everybody's holding up okay under this quarantine, lockdown, whatever. It's a drag. It's a drag for sure. So I hope everybody's holding up okay. I know it's hard. Everybody's different. Some people handle it okay, others not so well. Anyway, I will talk to you again soon. So Scott and I will probably do this video over the weekend and talk about this some more. Anyway, thanks for listening. Talk to you again soon. Bye.